Hey, this is Notser, and this is a look at the cruiser builds in 0.6.0. Yesterday I did destroyers, today I'm going to do cruisers. Now cruisers are, they're pretty different, right? We've got the British cruisers that are extreme, we've got the Japanese that really like HE, we've got the Soviets and the Americans that have radar, and we have the Germans that have a pretty long-range hydroacoustic, right? Right. But they serve basically the same function. They provide DPS for the team and potential defensive fire. That's pretty much what the cruiser is good at. So let's just discuss what the British cruiser and every cruiser is going to be roughly. There are extreme outliers like the Belfast, and I'll try and highlight what I would do differently for that particular ship. But for the main British cruiser line, this is a build that I feel pretty comfortable using. So my number one skill at level 1, priority target. Why? It tells you when people are looking at you. And not only looking at you, when they have their crosshair over you. Most people only have the crosshair on the target by an automatic targeting system based on where their cursor is looking. So it's pretty much almost one-to-one information on the dangers that might be coming. Preventative maintenance is also a good skill, and the reason I think preventative maintenance is a great skill, hear me out. Preventative maintenance protects your main battery, well, improves your protection of your main battery, your torpedo tubes, steering, and your engine modules. It does not impact your secondaries or your AA protection, but what it allows you to do is it allows you to grab the module that is responsible for improving the health of your AA and your secondaries. And I'll go more into this for secondary builds, but cruisers are AA ships, right? As they take damage, your AA is inevitably going to take damage, and it's going to reduce your effectiveness over the course of the fight. If you can improve the health, and it might look a little odd, if you can improve the health with auxiliary armaments and protect your main battery, your torpedoes, that sort of thing from destruction, it's pretty cool. Your AA is going to remain more relevant the longer the game goes on. So consider that. That's sort of why preventative maintenance is a pretty good skill. The final skill that I would even consider is incoming fire. Obviously, expert loader, irrelevant for the British cruiser line. They don't have another armor type. They only use AP. They don't use HE. But incoming fire, it's a bronze for me. That's fine. For my level 2, I'm going to go with Adrenaline Rush. And the reason I'm going with Adrenaline Rush is because you spend a lot of time in smoke. You also take a lot of damage. So you're probably going to sit in smoke with a certain amount of damage taken. Most games. And this is going to benefit you. Now, why not Expert Marksman? Well, Expert Marksman is really good if your turrets are extremely slow, like the Japanese cruisers. But the British don't really have that problem. Yeah, sure, you can improve it, and that's why it's a bronze. But it's not as critical as it would be for someone like the Japanese. Smoke, it's a skill that you don't see on any other cruisers. I would take it over Expert Marksman or Jack of all trades just because it makes it extremely large. It's a little bit more undecided where the target could be inside the smoke, and I prefer that. It gives you more room to wiggle back and forth and avoid torpedoes. I like that. But it is a silver for me. It's not the first skill I take. My level 3, I take Superintendent. Why do I take Superintendent? Now, so you talk about consumables. Well, cruisers are going to run through their consumables more than others, I feel. And they have a lot of different consumables. They have defensive fire stuff, smoke charges, hydroacoustic. These are really helpful, and a heal. They're all really helpful. So I want to make sure I have plenty of them to make use. Obviously, Demolition Expert, irrelevant, don't even take it. Basic firing training is for AA only. You're not really going to be in range for manual, but also consider this: the British secondary range is pretty impressive. It's something like 7 or 8 kilometers, give or take. People are always rushing you in your smoke, and you can benefit from the rate of fire that does, coupled with advanced firing training. And we'll get to that. Another skill, if you're looking for a level 3 skill that you could take as a Brit, you could do basic survivability or even vigilance. But I really feel like hydroacoustic fills in that need. For my level 4, concealment. This is going to be the top skill for cruisers across the board at a level 4. Sorry, it's just the most important. Protecting yourself from vision game is the most important. It allows you to kill and not die in every single game. Advanced firing training. It's very good for protecting yourself, extending the secondary ranges when the people press into your smoke. It's a very good skill for level 4. Now, radio. The radio is so situational. And it is so situational that I just can't even recommend it. It's a bronze for me. It's just so expensive for what it's giving you. If you focus on taking out the destroyers one by one, you're going to feel better. You won't need radio. Having the better AA protection is going to help your teammates. That's what cruisers do. So that's why I go there. And if you need help understanding what's going on behind the scenes, behind the shadow of concealment and detectability, then take radio to help you out. So for me, obviously, priority target, adrenaline rush, we get basic fire, superintendent, also concealment expert. Those feel really good. And then I might come back up and get the AA protection stuff, because it works really well with the Brits. Smoke, expert marksman, preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance along with basic and advanced, and then couple that with the module switch, you are going to have a lot of AA for an extended period of time. It feels really powerful as a cruiser, and that's what cruisers should feel like. They actually have good AA protection. But you don't have defensive fire. Keep that in mind. So, next up, let's go to the Japanese. The Japanese cruisers. Now, the Japanese cruisers are legendary for their HE use. Right? Recommended number 1, priority target. Again, it gives you free information. Whenever a person is targeting you, that's what it's communicating. One weakness of the Japanese is their turret traverse. Honestly, it's notorious for being really bad, so I take expert marksman just to help me out. I think it's just too important. Adrenaline rush is great, but I think your turrets just traverse a little too slow for the Japanese. For my level 3, demolition expert. Absolutely. You want to set fires on the target. You want to have a high chance to light the target on fire. It makes it easier to do everything else. It's great. For my level 4, concealment. Right? Pretty obvious, safe stuff. And I also cover the advanced firing, basic firing, any AA focused skills, jack of all trades, because cruisers do have a lot of consumables. Basic survivability. You're not going to have quite the focus of other targets, but it will be an issue for you. Superintendent is a really good take. I just wouldn't go after aircraft, anti-aircraft skills on the Japanese cruisers. That's my opinion. If they're the only cruiser line you have, then I would recommend, if there is a meta shift, to go ahead and get them up as far as you can go with your AA to protect the team. But I don't really see that coming anytime soon. So I focus primarily on my selfishness in killing enemy ships, enemy destroyers, enemy battleships, enemy cruisers. That's the sort of thing I focus on. Now, one thing I've swapped in compared to the Brits is the direction center catapult. This particular skill is, of course, very, very, very helpful if you have an aircraft on your ship, and pretty much all the Japanese have aircraft on it. The cruisers weren't nerfed. They still last 5 minutes. That's pretty good. It's sort of a cheap hydroacoustic, and it provides AA protection. That's why I'm not really excited about Vigilance, especially for cruisers. They're maneuverable, and they have the 5-minute fighter. Those two coupled together really allows you to not have to spend 3 points. You can spend just 1 point on aircraft. Adrenaline Rush, I think, is good. If you take damage, you should take Adrenaline Rush. If you don't take damage, don't take it. I always take damage. I'm just an aggressive player. I take it. Superintendent. And the bronze ones, obviously AA. We've got all the AA skills here. Basic survivability, jack of all trades. I have both the incoming fire and then preventative maintenance as my bronze for level 1. They could be okay, but the Japanese just aren't AA platforms. This is really for AA. Just stick to the main armament protection unless you have really good AA or secondaries. That's what I feel, and spend those points somewhere else. I can still spend points. I don't know what else I'm going to pick up. We'll see when I get there. The Japanese, though, are really fun. High fire chance, protect yourself with concealment, faster turret traverse, make use of the extra extended time that the catapult fighter does last on him, and you'll find success. Alright, so let's go to the American cruisers. American cruisers, they're a little bit different from the Japanese. The Japanese are not the same as Americans. Americans, why can't I place... Ah, that's why. So Americans, not quite the same. They are much more familiar with the idea that they are going to be, and I don't really like this particular thing. I was screwing around with I was screwing around with my Atlanta. Don't take HEAP. Don't touch this in a 203 millimeter gun. Small caliber, yes, but 203, don't do that. So kind of ignore that. But in general, priority target, of course. If your turrets are traversing sluggishly, and sluggish to me is 40 to 35 seconds, give or take. That's sluggish. I look to get expert marksman. Now, if your turrets are faster than 30 seconds, maybe you don't take expert marksman first. Maybe you take adrenaline rush, right? Then we get demolition expert. Why demolition expert? Because you're still doing a lot of damage, and your chance to light the target on fire is pretty good. It's not bad at all. And then concealment. Concealment, you just take it in everything. Sorry, you just take it in everything. Now, based on the meta, based on where the meta might go, these are all for aircraft carriers. All for aircraft carriers. And keep in mind, this is for lower mid-tier before you get radar. Once you get radar, don't take direction center. Once you get radar, I would suggest that you go an AA build of some sort and preventative maintenance along with that module that I was talking about, auxiliary. This module, it will improve your AA and secondary gun mounts, and the preventative maintenance will protect your main battery. So it works out pretty well. But the Americans, more so than any other cruiser line, is pretty good at AA. Pretty good at AA. I don't really think if anyone's going to do it, it's the Americans, right? Now, someone else that's pretty good at AA is the Germans. Now, the Germans are not quite the same in the sense that they do it for the same reasons as the Americans. The Americans do AA because they're really good at it. The Germans do AA because they probably don't have defensive fire. They probably have hydroacoustic because hydroacoustic is really good for them. So they can't afford the defensive fire. They need to have their AA as strong as possible. So again, Germans, we pick up priority target. If the turrets traverse too slow, these turrets traverse quick enough. I would get adrenaline rush over expert marksman, okay? Quick enough to me is under 30 seconds for a 180-degree turn. All right? Demolition expert. Why demolition expert, Notser? Because you're still setting targets on fire. You're still going to use HE, AP. It's the best thing you can put if you are operating completely by yourself, or you can't guarantee you're going to run into an aircraft carrier. If you can't guarantee an aircraft carrier is going to be your opponent, go demolition. It's a waste to try and hope that you're going into a game with an aircraft carrier. If you can guarantee an aircraft carrier is going to be your opponent, then probably get anti-air stuff, right? We have concealment. Again, concealment is so important for everything, honestly. You want to take it. You just want to take it. And again, don't touch HEAP. 203 millimeter, don't touch HEAP. Just don't do it. And we get all the AA stuff. I would prefer advanced firing training and basic firing training. That would be my go-to on the Germans. I could also see picking up superintendent. That's also a good skill. Radio is again, it's a skill that you take if you can't really perceive the game comfortably enough to understand what the enemy is doing. Why don't I take Jack of all trades or basic survivability? Jack of all trades is only 5%. I think you're getting more out of adrenaline rush than 5%, or other skills than 5%, right? Basic survivability, you really don't want to take any damage. So you want to avoid contact with the enemy a lot. You want to be in the background doing damage, or taking out destroyers. If you go in AA spec, I would consider, well, actually, you still have aircraft, so still get catapult aircraft. Catapult aircraft are going to be the best anti-air ability you can get. But I would also probably pick up preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance is going to protect those AA mounts, again, because you can swap in the auxiliary for AA and secondaries. It works really well. It aligns very well. And that's a large investment, right? The reason I didn't just give you a perfect build or whatever build I use at level 19, I don't have a bunch of 19s yet. I got to take with whatever I can get, right? So that's my feeling. Now, the final cruiser is the Soviet cruisers. The Soviet cruisers are the exception compared to the Japanese, Americans, and Germans. The Japanese, the Americans, and the Germans are very similar to each other. But the Soviets are not. The Soviets fit in this weird world where they have a small caliber gun. A fairly small caliber gun. And that small caliber gun can benefit from HEAP. So again, we take priority target. We check to see if our turrets traverse pretty quickly. They do. Then I pick up adrenaline rush. I take demolition expert and concealment. That's the normal build that I would always take. This and this are really, it's competing. If it's above 30 seconds, take expert marksman. If the turret traversing is better than 30 seconds, take adrenaline rush as your first skill. You might even want to come back and pick it up. Maybe there's a scenario where you get into a fight and you just can't traverse the turrets fast enough. You probably would have killed that target. It would have kept you alive, right? You maneuver a lot. If you're in a cruiser and you're turning your ship and the guns just can't keep on target, then I would consider expert marksman. The Japanese have that trouble. If it's not a big deal, don't worry about spending the 2 points there. But if your guns are traversing, it's way too important to ignore. That's the way I view that. So, you can do one of two things at this point. After you've gone through all the way to get concealment. You can decide, I want to go an AA build. I want to go a HEAP build. HEAP is honestly probably the build, since I have all cruisers, I'm going to go HEAP and use the small caliber to my advantage. Probably the textbook character is the Kutuzov, right? Kutuzov is really strong when it comes to that sort of thing. Because it has a high rate of fire, small caliber. You want to burn things down. you are going to fire a lot of rounds at the target. And then it aligns very well with HEAP, Demolition Expert, Adrenaline Rush. You'll be in smoke too. And if you have more points, maybe you pick up your Superintendent. If you use premium consumables, that is sort of a question mark. If the aircraft carriers come back with a vengeance, then you need to pick these up. Basic firing and advanced firing training. These are really, if you feel like it, that's the mentality I get. The aircraft is so important for the cruisers. I take it as my second level 1. Preventative maintenance is really for if you want secondaries or AA to be relevant. That's the way I see it. And it's pretty fun. I have had a lot of fun in these ships using HEAP, secondary builds, concealment. I really haven't found a reason to get radio. It's just, there are other things that are better. And that's the truth. There are just other things that are better. So, I hope this was useful. I hope it wasn't completely ridiculous. I hope it was explained thoughtfully. I hope it didn't take too long. If you have any more questions, like, let's say, if you're looking at the Belfast, well, you know what? The Belfast is basically a Soviet cruiser. When you really look at it, it's a fairly small caliber gun. It has HE. You still want to be concealed. That sounds like I want to go for Demolition Expert, Concealment, HEAP, right? Yeah, that's what I want. So don't associate 100% of this build is for all Japanese or all Germans. Same with the Mogami. Mogami has the small caliber, 155 millimeter. If you go that, HEAP. If you go the 203s, don't go HEAP. It's going to be kind of a push at that point, and you don't want to have a mediocre level 4 skill. Those 4 points are better invested in other things. That's why smaller than 203 is encouraged to get HEA, because you see more return on it. You actually notice it when you take it. When you take it above 203 or 203 and above, it's like radio. It's a maybe it'll be useful. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you are excited to try out your cruisers and give them a go. I will be touching every single cruiser. I will try and play them all, if at all possible. That is my goal. I enjoy the game a lot. People say, "Hey, why don't you get why don't you get burned out?" Because I enjoy the interaction between myself and you more than the game itself. The game is just a catalyst for that interaction. Now, I hope you all gain something from this. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.